Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Top of the List. Kind of like the part two to our earlier video where we did kind of talking baseball with RB and Dom. Just wanted to make another video before we head into MLB playoffs tomorrow. Filming this on Monday night and playoffs start Tuesday. Looking forward to MLB playoffs, man. Neither of my teams made it, which is very disappointing. But
Oh, come on. You took it out before I could even say it, before I could even draw attention to it.
Had to defend myself there. But as you can tell, Ryan's team definitely made it, and we'll talk about why and what kind of power ranking LA is at. So kind of the forefront there. But yeah, talking baseball, let's talk about what our prospects are for the upcoming postseason. You know, what's your outlook for the coming season, Ryan? Postseason.
Let me tell you. First of all, it's October. We've got playoff baseball. I'm juiced. I'm so excited. You asked me 5 months ago if we would have had even a baseball season, let alone playoff baseball. I would have told you absolutely not. But nothing's gonna stop Major League Baseball. Even beginning of the season, we had some scares. Some outbreaks on different teams. Miami Marlins, the Philadelphia Phillies. But we're here. We've got playoffs. I couldn't be more excited. And, right off the bat, pun intended, I think, looking at who made the playoffs, both the National and American League.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
You're terrible, man.
There are no better teams out there than the Los Angeles Dodgers. My Los Angeles Dodgers, go blue.
Yeah.
And, a team that was a surprise this year that I'm really excited to talk about, the Tampa Bay Rays, coming out of an extremely tough American League East. You've got two teams here. These are the only two teams that won at least 40 games. And to me, you look at it, these are the two toughest divisions in baseball. In American League, you got the American League East, which is stacked. You got the Yankees, of course, always a perennial front runner. You got the Red Sox, who had an off year this year. But then you got Toronto, who makes the playoffs as well, as did the Yankees. And then you've got your Rays. And the way the season split up this year, the Rays played mostly that division and still managed to get 40 wins. Same thing with the Dodgers in the NL West. One of the toughest divisions in baseball, especially with the emergence of Slam Diego this year. And yet the Dodgers have an MLB best 43 wins. They go 43-17 in the 60-game season. These right now, obviously, they're number one in the American League and National League, respectively. There are a few sleepers I'd like to talk about as well. But, right now, something big would have to happen to change my mind and not figure out that these two teams will match up in the World Series.
Yeah, I think I should give my input on those two. So let's start with Tampa Bay. I didn't watch any Tampa Bay games really that much. So I guess what I'm kind of looking for from you, Ryan, is what players are you looking at? When I'm going out there and when our viewers are going out to check out the postseason coming up, who are the players to watch on Tampa Bay? Because like you said, they're number one in the AL.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite player on Tampa Bay and one of my favorite baseball players is Brandon Lowe.
Okay.
Just a good hitting second baseman. Of course, I played, for those of you who don't know, our viewers, I played second base in high school. I was not a good hitting second baseman, but Brandon Lowe is a true, and I think it seldom happens nowadays, a true five-tool second baseman. The guy can hit for power. He hit 14 home runs, in the shortened season. Nothing wrong with that. At 270 on the season, nothing wrong with that. Drove in 37 runs, and he's a great fielding second baseman. Second base is becoming a more and more important position the way shifts are coming into baseball. It used to be sort of your weakest infield. You throw him in at second base. That's why I played second base. But it's not the case anymore, and Brandon Lowe makes some great plays out. You see him in shallow right field in some of the shifts, on the left side of the infield as well with some of these shifts when you've got a good pull-hitting right-handed batter. He's special. He's a good player.
Let me just say, man, for our viewers at home, Ryan's not giving himself enough credit. I pitched, and I'm going to tell you what, Ryan, especially my senior year when I pitched the most, he got me out of more than and I'd say more jams than I can count. If the ball was hit to Ryan, sure, he had a hard time hitting the ball deep. He had a hard time getting on base when it wasn't a walk because he got a lot of walks. But, he was one of those guys where if the ball was hit to him, RB, the legend himself, would always stop it and throw him out. And that was what I loved about him. But,
I can agree with that. Yeah. But Brandon Lowe, he can do that and he can hit the ball. So
there you go.
Maybe if I could have gotten some hitting lessons, from Brandon Lowe, I would have been a bit more solid at the plate. They got a good pitching rotation as well. Of course, Blake Snell, the first name that comes to mind. Snell on the season went 4-2. Nothing wrong with that. Charlie Morton as well is the number 2 on that pitching staff. And then they got this guy.
Really good pitcher.
I'd never heard of him coming into this season, but Tyler Glasnow. He's 27 years old.
Good. He's really good.
Went 5-1 on the season.
Yeah, he had a great season.
Solid season, 91 strikeouts, which is top 10 in the American League this year.
Very nice.
Definitely Tampa Bay, a solid team. They got good pitching. Hitting, the one complaint I have about this team is besides Brandon Lowe, they don't really have a consistent guy in their lineup. No consistent power threats behind him with his 14 home runs. The next 2 best guys had 8. I mean, they got Hunter Renfroe, who's pretty solid. Otherwise, looking up and down this lineup, I don't see many names that light up my eyes. But, guys have stepped up all season long, and I don't see that ending with the playoffs. I think with only a 60-game season, a lot of these teams aren't looking at an 8-team on each side playoff bracket. I don't think that guys are looking at this as the playoffs. They're feeling like this is still the regular season. Guys have stepped up all regular season for Tampa Bay. I don't see that changing in the playoffs, at least early on.
Okay, so now just from what you've been telling me here, I'm already kind of formulating a few questions I kind of want to get covered here. So that's Tampa Bay. I'm going to talk about Dodgers. I know you have a lot to say about your Dodgers, but I'm going to talk Dodgers the way I see it as like an outsider. I said I'm not really a fan, but I appreciate the lineup that they put together. Like you said, Ryan, in our first MLB video, best lineup money can buy. And I think that kind of came through, and then a couple players in their batting lineup did not deliver this season. But here's what I see is that, like you said, Tampa Bay sounds like they got a fire pitching rotation. Maybe they have a few inconsistencies in their batting lineup, but to me it seems like the Dodgers are just knocking the cover off the ball. Maybe they don't have the pitching lineup to hold it. What do you think?
That cannot be said. This has been the best Dodgers pitching year, I feel, in quite a while.
Okay.
I mean, you look at 1 through 5 in their starting rotation. You got Clayton Kershaw, been lights out, pitching like he's 25 again.
In the regular season.
In the regular season, absolutely. Yes, all bets are off in the playoffs. This is the first thing. So, precursor to this analysis, this is 100% based off of the regular season. And, all bets are off in the playoffs. But Kershaw's been pitching the best I've seen him in 6-7 years.
And he's one of the best of all time.
Yeah, without a doubt. First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Walker Buehler is having an off season this year.
Okay.
And let's look at the numbers with an off season. Let me pull these up real quickly for Buehler. As the Dodgers, I mean, essentially he was supposed to be the ace this year. Kershaw stepped up. People didn't expect that. Walker Buehler this year has gone – all right. In 8 starts, he's gone 1-0 in 36 innings with an ERA of a whip of 0.95 and an ERA of 3.44. And that's an off year for the kid. I mean, granted, this guy's only 25 years old.
That's an average year for an average MLB pitcher, right?
I mean, it's hard to tell because, we only had 60 games to see him. But compared to some of the numbers he was putting up last year and the year prior, I mean, he had ERAs that were at least sub 2.7. So 3.4, it's a little elevated. Guys are, obviously it's a changing game. He's a guy who throws 98 miles an hour consistently. Guys are able to catch up to that now. Whereas when he was coming up, fewer guys were able to do that. But that's your number 2.
Yeah.
And then behind him, you've got 3 young guys. You got Julio Urias, who's been amazing this season.
Oh, yeah,
he's good. Dustin May, who's been lights out, Big Red, who throws the easiest 100 miles an hour I've ever seen. And Tony Gonsolin, I think the most underrated pitcher on the Dodgers staff, came up last year, same time as May. I think Gonsolin's better than May. Another hot take. Don't at me there.
Wow.
But I think Gonsolin's the most underrated pitcher on this staff. He threw lights out this season. He didn't get many decisions because he didn't go the mandatory 5 quite a bit. The Dodgers had kept tight leashes on their pitchers all season. Dave Roberts said he would be doing that if they got into jams because it's a shortened season. He's getting them out of there. But, I think 1 through 5, the Dodgers starting rotation is lights out, and I think the bullpen has been much improved this year.
Okay, yeah, because what I've seen, like, they have a great bullpen. I just remember watching a couple games when they were playing the Giants and stuff like that and seeing, man, the Giants just can't hit these guys that were in their bullpen, except for one of my least favorite players on the Dodgers, Kenley Jansen.
Yeah, so the Dodgers have two big money guys out of the bullpen, Kenley Jansen and Pedro Baez. And they have been, and this is going back now 2-3 seasons, extremely inconsistent for your headline guys out of your bullpen who, Baez and Jansen have typically been Baez the 8th inning guy, Jansen the 9th inning guy. Now, even Dave Roberts noticed that throughout the year. I mean, Jansen went through a stretch where he had given up in 3 outings, 7 runs on 8 hits. And he started messing around with some new looks. And I thought that was, great because some guys got new looks. Blake Trinan, who, for those of you who remember a couple seasons ago, a Cy Young candidate is a closer for the A's. He had Tommy Johns. He's not throwing as hard as he was before, but he's had a great showing out of the bullpen. They've got this new 20-year-old kid named Brusdar Graterol who comes out and throws harder than any pitcher I've seen on the Dodgers, obviously an Aroldis Chapman type. Throws 100, 101, 102 easy out of the pen. They said he's the closer of the future. Dave Roberts has said that. Obviously, Joe Kelly, unsung hero of LA right now after his antics against the Houston Astros made him a hero, even though he had an offseason last year with the Dodgers. There's some great names in this bullpen, but the Dodgers do rely heavily on Kenley Jansen and Pedro Baez. And if those guys have a playoffs like they do in the regular season, the Dodgers are going to struggle late in close games.
Which is better for the fans because I think it's going to be great to watch a couple walk-offs against the Dodgers because I don't like the Dodgers. But it's okay. It's okay. I think I do have to say they have a great batting lineup. Before we get to batting or offense or anything like that, I just kind of have an overall question I think that we've never kind of discussed is I think I know what my stance is, and I think you kind of know what my stance is, but there's kind of like there's two sides to every sport, offense, defense, right? So is it going to be this playoffs? And keep in mind, we're playing a different game, like you said. This is a different version of baseball that we've seen before. Is this postseason going to be pitching always wins, or is it going to be the offense that dominates this postseason, you think?
That's a great question. Obviously, it's been an offensive league. It's been an offensive league for years now.
But does good pitching beat good hitting, or is it good hitting can bring down these mammoth pitchers that, like you said, Tampa Bay has a couple good ones. Dodgers have a great lineup as well.
I jump back and forth on this one.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age of baseball, as good of a pitching staff as you could have, there are guys out there. Last year for the Dodgers, it was Cody Bellinger. This year for the Dodgers, it's been Mookie Betts and Corey Seager. There are guys that you could walk out a Cy Young pitcher out there. There's a reason pitchers don't win the MVP nearly as much as hitters, especially in this day and age. You can walk out a Cy Young pitcher, and if you have the best hitter in the league, it doesn't matter who's out there on the mound. He's getting on base.
Okay. Well, you took the opposite side of what I thought because, my stance every year in baseball, and it is again this year, is pitching will always beat as good. You could put the MVP out there. You could put Mike Trout out there. But if you have a pitcher that wants to get that guy out more, I think the pitcher wins every time. And I think it's just pitching that can win it for the overall team.
There are just too many, and the Dodgers are one of them. The Padres are another one. There are too many quote unquote super lineups out there now. I'm sorry. Yes, a pitcher could have a good night against Cody Bellinger, against Mookie Betts, against Corey Seager, against Manny Machado of the Padres. But 1 through 9, especially now that we have a universal DH, it's just so hard. And especially to get through these lineups, 2 and 3 times, throwing your best stuff. It's so hard to get these guys out, get everyone out consistently. I mean, you look at the Dodgers lineup this year. I mean, yes, you have at the top, you have Corey Seager, you have Mookie Betts. Right now, I would argue that besides the Padres, if the Padres were non-existent, these two guys would be 1 and 2 in the MVP race. And the same can be said about the Padres when you look at their 2 and 3, who are Machado bats third and Tatis, who bats second. But then you've got guys who are hitting 290 with 12 jack shots in a 60-game season. AJ Pollock, monster season out of nowhere after hitting like 220 last year in limited time. He's been huge. Chris Taylor, Will Smith, these guys on the Dodgers that you don't expect that aren't all-stars who are out there, hitting 300 with 10 bombs.
True. And, I just am thinking just to kind of rebut you here. I am thinking back to, of course, even though the Giants sucked this year, they still had an okay season. They kind of choked at the end there, but I think back to when the Giants won those 3 World Series most recently. And every time I keep looking at that Giants lineup and thinking, these guys have terrible hitting. They couldn't hit the ball, but they had guys like Madison Bumgarner go out there and sweep Detroit. They had guys go out there and
1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
last
4
year,
years ago.
Garrett Cole dominated everybody in the postseason. Nobody could hit him.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
That's what the perspective I'm coming from, at least. But I think we should move on. So, Ryan's on the side that this season's going to be an offensive season. I think, as always, pitching is going to dominate our postseason. But now I kind of want to close off this episode, unless you got a lot more to say, Ryan, which is totally fine. But I want to give kind of my dark horse here for who I think can make it all the way.
That's exactly where I was going to go. So do you want to go American League first or National League first?
I say let's go NL. We're both kind of NL fans more. Let's go NL. So for me in the National League, I don't know if it's a dark horse necessarily. I think San Diego can beat them. I think
call them by the correct name, please.
No, that's a stupid name.
Slam Diego.
Okay, I guess they're pretty good. I hate Manny Machado. That's the only reason why
I couldn't agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. But yeah, up and down, that lineup is ridiculous. Like I said, they never got a series win against the Dodgers this year. This is the only team that I think could challenge the Dodgers in the playoffs this year. But, between Machado, between Tatis, you've got Will Myers, who's playing the best ball he has since his rookie year, or not his rookie year, but his first year with the Padres. Eric Hosmer's hitting the ball well. Jake Cronenworth came out of nowhere. He's a rookie this year. He's played all over the infield. Great defensive player who's been hitting the cover off the ball. Jurickson Profar's having a career season,
Yeah.
This is another lineup just like the Dodgers that I can't find a weak spot in. And their pitching has been great this year too. I mean, Dinelson Lamet out of nowhere this year, and he's been lights out. That was the one guy the Dodgers could not hit this year from the Padres pitching staff. He went 3-1 this year with a 2.09 ERA.
Nice.
The guy's been awesome. Zach Davies has been good. He's thrown more out of the bullpen, but and I misspoke there because he's made 12 appearances and all of them have been starts, but 7-4 on the year. Nothing wrong with that. Garrett Richards, 3-2 on the year in 10
One of
starts.
my favorite pitchers, even though he's kind of been on the downslide since Tommy John.
And of course, they added Clevenger at the offseason.
That's
a
nice
huge
pickup.
signing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and
so,
I misspoke there. I said Davies out of the bullpen. I was referring to Pomeranz, Drew Pomeranz, who's been thrown out of the bullpen for the Padres, who's looked really good. He made 20 appearances all out of the pen this year.
So I guess if I were to pick a dark horse, like someone that's unlikely to win, but I think might make it through, I always kind of like the Cubs. I always have been a fan of the Cubs.
You can't call the Cubs a dark horse. I'm sorry. They're a division champion. They won the NL Central.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call them a dark horse.
What do you think? What do you think of the dark horses? And then like your pick.
Yeah, no, Padres for sure.
Okay.
There is the NL West reigns supreme. I'm sorry. They played each other for the most part all year. And the cream rose to the top. I mean, the Dodgers won 43. The Padres won 37, which was more than any other division champion as the wild card out of the West. There's just they outclassed. The NL West this year was like the Western Division in the NBA. There's just it doesn't come close.
Yeah, so in seasons past, they've it's been the joke. Like, when the Dodgers were bad, many years back, like for the last few years, they've been amazing. But when all these teams in the NL West were like really bad, they used to call it the NL worst. But now, instead of the NL West, I would say it's the NL best. Like they're basically the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like we said, I think the only teams that could beat them, I give a chance here. I mean, like I said, both Tampa Bay and the Yankees out of the AL East. The Yankees just because they're the Yankees.
Yeah,
there's tradition there. That team wins.
That's
what they do. Yeah, but the Padres are my dark horse from the NL. Moving over to the AL, I've got a big dark horse here. I don't think many people are going to agree with me here, but I really like the White Sox. I think the South side of Chicago is going to be celebrating at least a few playoff series wins here. They have an impressive lineup as well. I mean, Tyler Anderson, is that correct?
Yes, Tyler Anderson, yeah.
Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
My bad. Tim Anderson, who's their shortstop, has been unbelievable this year. He's hitting .322. Once again, a great defensive shortstop as well, which I love to talk about defense. He's hitting .322. Great leadoff hitter. He gets on base. That's what you can ask of a leadoff hitter. Hits a lot of leadoff home runs as well. You got Jose Abreu, who's, getting up there in age and swinging the best bat I've seen in a while, hitting .317 and 19 blasts, 60 RBIs in a 60-game season. Ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah.
So good on him. And then, of course, your weak, third best player, you've got Eloy Jimenez, who, starts in left field, is, brilliant in the outfield at 23 years old, and he hit .296 this year. I mean, this team is young. This team's hungry. And if you need to turn to a veteran, you got Jose Abreu is there. Their pitching staff as well has been pretty solid throughout the year. I mean, Giolotto is a stud. I mean, we knew that. He's a great young gun. And then they added Dallas Keuchel this season. And Keuchel, to me, I mean, between him and Shane Bieber, pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, who I don't think made the playoffs, Keuchel, 6-2, 1.99 ERA. That's Cy Young numbers to me. Look for the White Sox to win a few series. I think they're the 6 or 7 seed. Could be a fun team to watch from the AL.
Okay, cool. So I have two things. I have my AL pick, and then I just have a question for you to answer at the end of the show. Okay, Ryan?
All right.
So my AL pick. Like I said, I really do like now that we talked about Tampa Bay a little bit, I really haven't watched any games with them. I do like Tampa Bay, but out of all the AL teams, the ones that I've seen the most, games from that I could make a good, opinion on, Oakland A's. I know it's kind of stereotypical since I like the Giants. I think the Oakland A's are going to make it to the World Series. I think we're going to see a L.A. Oakland World Series, which I'd enjoy. I don't know about you.
That would be cool. The A's, and they were a team that won the AL West, and I think it's sort of looking, this season at least, like the AL worst, so to speak. It was a weak division. I mean, when you win, and granted, you talk about pitching, I talk about offense a lot more. When you win and your best hitter, your most consistent hitter is hitting .246, I don't know that that's sustainable in the playoffs. It's tough to say. I mean, looking at their pitching staff, Mike Fiers has been good. He won 6 games this year, which is quite a bit in a 6-game season. He went 6-3. Big coming out season for Chris Bassett, guy I'd never heard of before this season. Went 5-2 with a 2.29. Solid numbers for a 31-year-old who, is sort of having a big coming out season. If your mantra holds true and pitching is what gives you the upper hand, I understand where the A's are coming from, but you're going to be facing the best pitchers in baseball here in the playoffs, guys that haven't seen before because of the way the season's been structured this year. And I just don't see this offense providing enough run support for this pitching staff.
Okay, I could see where you're coming from. I do have to say, I do have a little bit of a it seems like a silly reason, but I'm like, people know baseball players are superstitious, and you and I were both baseball players. It's kind of a superstitious thing where, like, these last few seasons, I know that it's not the same because we have a shortened season this season, but, whenever I've seen the Oakland A's make it to the postseason, they have started to play some great baseball. I've just seen them light up,
I'm curious. I'm trying to think. The last time the A's made the playoffs was 2 years ago, though, and they got bounced in the wild card game. That was the year that every team in the American League, including the A's, who were the 6th seed, had a better record than anyone in the National League. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, the A's play great regular season baseball, and that's always been, for the fans of the book or the film Moneyball. I mean, the formula doesn't work for the playoffs. It can't predict short term. And I guess you could say, well, then it couldn't predict them winning this many games in a 60-game season. But like I said, I just struggle to find.
No. What I'm saying is, like, the playoff games that I've liked to watch them before is those wild card games because.
But they lost.
I know, but they lost. But do you remember the actual game? I think it went like 11 innings.
It was an extra inning game. They had a lead, and if I recall, they blew it and then came back and then lost an extra.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
like I like watching games like that where there's an underdog, I know, but I like seeing them come back from those situations like that. So that's the kind of baseball I like to watch. But I know if viewers at home don't know, Ryan enjoys seeing those guys hit the cover off the ball as much as anyone. But I think you and I both appreciate a great pitching game,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Nothing better. I mean, I think that makes a guy who tears the cover off the ball that much more exciting when it's a 1-0 pitcher's duel, and the home run is just either a great fastball, but Cody Bellinger or Mookie Betts or Manny Machado or Fernando Tatis just squares it up and bombs it over
Yeah.
the left field fence. I mean, I think that it makes it even more fun to watch a guy tear the cover off the ball rather than 1 through 9 tearing the cover off the ball, unless it's the Dodgers, and I want to see everyone tear the cover off the ball and the Dodgers to win 15-0. But that's my personal bias. Because I've got teams in the playoffs. Dom, I know you wouldn't understand that.
Wow.
As an Angels fan.
Well,
So.
if you remember, I'm just going to shake off that slight shade thrown at me there. But I do have a question, though. So, Ryan, I think that it might make me sound like a bad baseball fan, but I don't understand the structure of these playoffs this year. Can you maybe explain like how, like I get the divisions and stuff like that, but how does the wild card work this year?
I'm a little upset that they're calling it a wild card. There's no wild card this year. It's 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 5-4.
Okay.
Is how it's working out, and it's a little upsetting to me, definitely. Just because there's no advantage to being the 1 seed, and there's not even home field advantage. The teams are going into bubbles. If I'm not mistaken, the National League's playing in Texas, and the American League's playing in LA.
Okay.
So there's not even a home field advantage. So I think it's a little unfair that the Dodgers have to play the Brewers. Then if they beat the Brewers, they have to play either the Padres or the Cardinals. Then if they win that, they have to play probably Atlanta. And then they have to play the World Series. It adds a whole other round for the Dodgers, or the number 1 seed. So not just the Dodgers, but also Tampa Bay. That I think is a little bit unfair. I'm more a fan of like the NFL structure, that the wild card game truly, the top 2 teams get a first round bye. So now
that's what I was going to say is, would you have preferred if they had done the first round bye?
I mean, as a Dodger fan, yes. As a baseball fan, all in all, I think it makes sense. With a shortened season, 60 games is not enough. There are teams that have rough 60-game stretches and still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they had to include more teams. So as a baseball fan, I understand it. I'm excited to see how it works out. As a Dodger fan, I'm pissed off. I think the Dodgers, especially not having home field advantage, shouldn't have to play the same amount of games as the 8th seed Milwaukee Brewers if the Milwaukee Brewers had to run the table just like the Dodgers.
Okay. Well, I think I've said all I need to say. My pick for AL, I'm going to stick by it, Oakland A's. My pick for NL, San Diego Padres. And then obviously, Ryan, you got those Dodgers and White Sox, was it, for the AL?
I mean, I'm going to still stick with the Rays.
Okay.
But like I said, I've got dark horse picks. I feel badly picking 1 seed and 1 seed. So my dark horse picks, Padres out of the National League and White Sox out of the American League. But right now I'm looking for Dodgers, Tampa Bay. I want to see the 2 best teams this year match up in the World Series.
All right, excellent. So I think we should go ahead and close this one out. Let's let people know what we're uploading. When I upload this video, it'll be a double upload. We're going to be uploading the episode we recorded last night, Enola Holmes review on Netflix. We new Netflix original movie. Wanted to talk about it. It was at the top of the list for both of us. Wanted to check out something new on our Netflix list. So check out our review. Pause the video when we say, we're going to start talking about spoilers. Go watch the movie and then come back. Do that for every video we do on movies and TV from now on. We're going to be doing that. And, keep a lookout for more trailer reactions as new movie trailers come out. Also was thinking about maybe doing a few. I'm a huge video game fan. I kind of want to just throw a couple of the new video game trailers that I'm excited about at Ryan and just kind of get his gut reaction impressions to see, he's a guy that doesn't play some of the same games that I do. Just what does he think about, the story or the world that they're building? Because I play a lot of single player. So thinking about maybe doing a few more trailer reactions because those are fun, easy, simple, quick videos to make. And we have a good time making them. So maybe some more trailer reactions in the future, along with we want to get back to doing a few more ranking lists like we started off doing on this channel, a few more top of the list videos where we'll be doing, I think we're kind of brainstorming, and what came to my mind was the new Planet of the Apes trilogy, the 3 films that have recently come out. Want to talk about that maybe, and we'll look into doing that maybe in the next couple of weeks. And we did have a few other, I think we had a TV show review we wanted to do as well. So we got a few things coming up, but so Ryan, if you got anything else to add, go ahead and take us out.
I got 2 more things for you. So obviously, congratulations, since we're in sports mode, tonight or this past evening, the Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Stanley Cup. So congrats to the Tampa Bay Lightning, the first ever championship won by a team playing in the city of Tampa Bay. So let's see if the Rays can make it 2 for 2 in the same year. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. Number 2, I just got to ask you, in the heart of sports, we didn't get to do a full NBA playoffs bracket when that started. But the finals starting this week, Lakers, Heat. Dare you take the Heat, or is this the Lakers like everyone's been talking about?
Lakers all the way for me, man.
Yeah, I agree. The Heat have been impressive. Bam Adebayo is incredible. Huge postman, but you match
Jimmy
him up.
Butler is also amazing.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Jay Crowder, I mean,
Ooh,
even these guys like Duncan Robinson and Goran Dragic, great players, but the Lakers are a super team. Obviously, names like Jimmy Butler, they're big names, but you got an all-star team essentially with LeBron and AD. LeBron, AD, I mean, he's old, but I'm a huge Rajon Rondo fan. Now that
I was going to say, you have to say Rondo.
Yeah, purple and gold and not green and white. You got an all-star team over there in LA. And hats off to the Miami Heat, Yeah. I would have never told you that the Heat would win the East,
Yeah.
And hats off to Boston, too. I thought Boston did a great job.
Oh, Boston did great, too. I thought it was going to be the Milwaukee Bucks this year in the East.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with all these sports. You have one major guy go down, you got to have a team step up, and Milwaukee wasn't able to do that when Giannis went down.
Yeah, totally. And, I just think that they got guys on LA coming off when it's garbage time, when they're 20 points ahead, that used to be all-star players on older teams.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Waiters is the first name that comes to mind. He was an absolute animal, a starting 5 player who's now, getting trash minutes for the Lakers. This team is quite literally a super team.
Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis on one team.
Yeah, and then you got JaVale McGee too, who's playing some great basketball. Yeah. This is the one test the Lakers will have this year. Having Houston, and then of course Jokic is a great player for Denver. I think the bigs are going to need to step up for the Lakers, which I think they will. But I think we're going to need to see a lot of big plays from JaVale McGee, of course from Anthony Davis, and then from Dwight Howard, because we're going to see a great attack from Bam Adebayo. He's awesome. A great young talent, going to be good for a long time in the NBA.
All right. And I know that we're past the baseball talk, but I remembered one thing we're already going way longer than we said, so we might as well just keep going. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I think we need to talk about Miami making the playoffs for the first time in 17 years in baseball.
After their entire team tested positive for COVID too, or so
I
it
know.
seems right at the beginning. Yeah, I've been watching, some of this Miami team right from the beginning, and they are not a traditional Miami team. I may be misspeaking here, but Don Mattingly is still the manager over there, right?
As far as I know, I think you're right, but I haven't seen that many of their games where they, showed the manager. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think it's Don Mattingly as far as I know. And they've got some great hitters. They got a good lineup, but this is a team that I think more so I was impressed, at least early on this season, with the pitching. Alcantara, I thought, had a great start to his season. He finished off, 3-2 with a ERA of 3. Nothing wrong with that. That's that's pretty solid. Let's see who else they got. Their next best pitcher is Pablo Lopez, guy I've never heard of, but he went 6-4 with a 3.6. These are guys that are could keep Miami in the playoff conversation for the near foreseeable future. Guys that aren't big names, that may not be making a big splash in free agency until they have a little bit more to prove. And while they're trying to do that, they're going to start winning games in Miami. Exciting to see, once we do get fans back in baseball in 2021, beg your pardon. I think Miami has one of the most beautiful stadiums in baseball. I know that's kind of, some people, they either love it or hate it, people, but I really love the looks of that stadium.
Me too.
Hopefully they can get some butts in seats, because I know it's typically empty
Yeah.
at those Miami games, and it's a beautiful stadium. So hopefully the Marlins, can turn some heads there, shakes things up in the
one of my favorite
NL East.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories from the Marlins Stadium. I don't know what it's called or anything like that, but they played the All-Star game there a couple of years back, and Aaron Judge hitting the roof during the home run derby was so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that. I was cheering. That was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think unless you have anything else to add on, Ryan, keep an eye out for our future content. Watch our past videos, your trailer reactions, reviews. We had Cobra Kai, we had Devil All the Time, we had Enola Holmes, a lot of Netflix focus. Maybe we should try to switch it over to one of the other streaming services for people that don't watch a lot of Netflix. But, go right ahead and take us out from here, Ryan. Where can they find you?
Yeah, my name is Ryan Barnett, or RB. You can find me on Instagram at RB_the_SID. I'm glad we could do a sports episode, sort of more my area of expertise. I was talking a lot more than some episodes where Dom more has the area of film or screenwriting expertise. But yeah, thanks for watching another episode of Top of the List. On behalf of my my partner here, Dominic Gonzalez, or Dom Gonzalez. You can find him on Instagram and Twitter at Dom Gonzalez. That's with an S, 48. But thanks for watching another episode of Top of the List, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.